Good morning, everyone. I rarely do videos at the top of the morning, but I think there's so much going on in the world today. I've gone into a lot of Twitter spaces, and you hear people just perplexed. In sorrow and pain, feeling complicated about things that are happening in the world today. And, I think, I feel for a lot of people because a lot of people have been so removed from aspects of faith, believing in faith, and even the Bible and the prophecies and the warnings within that they don't understand how to connect all the dots to what is happening in the world today. There is a lot of buildup in the world that coincides with Bible prophecies. And I'm going to stay on these topics just because I think that many people have been manipulated, they've been distracted. And, I think about the people in the days of Noah, and they were the same way. And they literally took no note until the flood came and washed them all away. When it comes to end time prophecies, and we've seen this in the past where people who have tried to predict the date and time of Judgment Day have been wrong. And things like that has really weakened people's faith and belief in the fact that there is going to be judgment on the earth. And again, I think that it's noteworthy to understand Bible prophecies from a broad lens, right? So a lot of people, they're like, oh, the Y2K thing. I remember when that was a big thing. It's going to be the end of the world. And people were prophesying it's going to be the end of the world. And 2000 came and went, and we're still here. But there weren't things happening in 2000 that were catalysts to end time prophecies. There were certain things that were going on that correlated to end time prophecies, but we really didn't see sort of the magnitude of what we see today. And when I talk about magnitude, I'm really talking about mankind's capability and what they have actually done to other mankind on this earth. We live in the age of biological weapons. We live in the age of manufactured viruses. We live in the age of imperialism. And people would think that, wow, imperialism was so long ago, but no, this is a reality that we are obviously being convinced that when our soldiers go overseas to fight wars, that they're fighting to protect and serve people, specifically the American people. But a lot of these people have PTSD and all kinds of other mental issues because they realize that what was said to be their mission wasn't really their mission. And that's where you see a lot of the mental health and the military folks, especially the ones I talk to. A lot of them feel like that they are American hitmen. That's what some veterans that I talk to refer to themselves as. Oh, we're just hitmen for the United States. We weren't going out there protecting this country. They felt like they were hitmen. And, all of this stuff really adds up to a bigger picture that I think that very, very, very few people see. And we are living in some very interesting times. And I think if you understand what the Bible prophecies are saying and how they sort of correlate all together, then you will understand that, Charles Taze Russell, he predicted 1914 as the end times. But what Charles Taze Russell and his vision epiphany didn't really connect is the fact that there needed to be more things happening before you could really say these are the actual end time prophecies being fulfilled. But what Charles Taze Russell did predict, and which he was very accurate on, is the fire starter to this end time prophecy. And when you look at world governments around the 1900s and sort of what was happening during that time, you saw sort of these coalitions of nations sort of coming together, right? They were fighting, with this common cause, but neither World War One or World War Two were really considered decent wars. Even though you have multiple countries involved fighting the same conflict, you didn't have multiple nations rising against other nations simultaneously. And that is really the fire starter that real Bible prophecy watchers are waiting for. And so when I look at what's happening in the world today, I see the fire starting, right? We see we see the smoke, right? The fire's starting pretty much. The beginning of birth pangs, if you will. Because this conflict in Israel is not as cut and dry as people would think that it is. Israel has a huge play or role in end times prophecy, but it's not the role that they want to have. Okay? And when you look at the prophet Ezekiel, he pretty much tells the story of end times and certain things that we need to be looking for. And then when you look at the other prophets, they pretty much co-sign what this man is saying and who some of these players are. So when you're going here, it says, we're going to start at Ezekiel 38:14. It says, therefore, son of man, he's talking to Ezekiel, prophesy and say to God, from the land of Magog, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In that day when my people Israel are living in safety, you will not take notice of it. You will come from your place in the far north, you and many nations. So God's going to have many nations with him, right? You and many nations with you, all of them riding on horses. So this is a great horde, a mighty army. So God is telling God, he's putting it in God's heart to raise a mighty army that will eventually go against Israel. All right. So you will advance against my people Israel like a cloud that covers the land. In days to come, God, I will bring you against my land. So Israel has always been a prized possession land of God's, right? But the people in that land have not always been a prized possession of God because of their disgusting idol worship and their mockery and their defiance against God, right? So in days to come, God, I will bring you against my nation or against my land so that the nations may know me when I am proved holy through you before their eyes. So God is vindicating his holiness by allowing God of Magog to destroy the land of Israel, right? Because when you think about the Israel that we know today, it's not the Israel in the Bible. It's not the same one. And then 17 goes on to say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You are the one I spoke of in former days by my servants, the prophets of Israel. So even the prophets of Israel understood the role of God of the land of Magog in the end times. This is what will happen in that day. When God attacks the land of Israel, my hot anger will be aroused. And when you think about arousal, you think about pleasure, right? So God is going to be pleased when God infiltrates this land. He says that when God attacks the land of Israel, my hot anger will be aroused, declares the sovereign Lord. In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that at that time there will be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. So he's talking about his great day. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. I will summon a sword against Gog. So now he uses Gog to take out the land of Israel. And then after Gog finishes his campaign with Israel, then God will turn to God. I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. So we're talking about war. So after Israel falls, then you will see more war. Okay? I will execute judgment on him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstone, and burning sulfur on him and on his troops, on the many nations and the many nations with him. So I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know I am the Lord, or I am Jehovah, or Yahweh. Right? Because right now the nations don't know God. They're like, this guy, we don't know this guy. We see more of his adversary Satan than we do of him. Right? But if you break these things down, right, there are going to be things that happen that are going to be the catalyst to other things happening. So if I can imagine this whole scenario playing out, right? Because there's other scriptures that mentions that, he's going to be picking, God is going to be, a lot of the eastern nations are prophesied to ally with God against Israel. So I look at this prophecy and I say, okay, how can you imagine this playing out? Well, what's happening today? Right now, you have Israel who has started a campaign against Palestine. And I think their mission is to stay the course and to pretty much get those people out of the land, however, by any means necessary. And we see that includes genocide. I think what's going to happen is once Israel completes their mission, or once this ends to their satisfaction, I think that there's going to be sort of a silence before the storm in the world, because right now the world is not happy with the nation of Israel. No matter how many allies the nation of Israel has, there are more people who are more so coming up, rising up against Zionist ideology, Zionist Israel. And unfortunately, these things are going to trickle down into innocent, regular Jews who really don't support these things one way or the other. Is going to be something more harmful to them. And I pray for those people who are honest-hearted and true believing Jews. Because I think the Zionists are the biggest threats to the Jews. And I think what they pursue, what they promote, ultimately is going to hurt that community. And I think real anti-Semitism comes from within the Jewish community. It is propagated, manufactured within that community, and it's very harmful to innocent Jews who really don't want to be a part of that. But Bible prophecies are alive, guys, and I think it's worth noting. A lot of people think that Gog from the land of Magog represents Russia. And it does make a lot of sense that Gog would represent Russia. Or it could represent China. But I'm more so leaning towards Russia. And I think that China may be a part of that coalition of Gog. But I definitely think that we are seeing alliances form both in the East and West that helps us to kind of understand who these players are. Russia is absolutely north of Israel, and so is Turkey. Um, and this is something to note, when you're talking about the geographics of some of these older mentioned nations in the Bible and what their current names are. It's easy to make correlation. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, I definitely think that we're living in Bible prophecies. I think that scrolls are going to be opened. And I think that, what's going to happen on the earth is going to be interesting, devastating, and scary for a lot of people. And I just tell people, don't be distracted. Don't be distracted. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. Look over here, look over there, look over there. Don't look at the path of destruction that is happening. You know what I mean? So keep your prayers up. I tell people, if you are, spiritually weak, if you're engaged in practices and lifestyles that don't align with, God's holiness, make those adjustments. We have time. We don't know when judgment is going to come, but we do have time to change our heart conditions, and we do have time to divorce ourselves from the satanic infrastructure and world. So you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week and dig into your Bible. Dig into these prophecies. When you read Daniel's prophecies, when you read John's prophecies, when you read Ezekiel, this stuff is real time. And you realize that, we needed to get to a point in mankind's history where mankind was capable, from a military standpoint, globally, to cause massive destruction upon other men on earth. So we are there. We are there. There are several nations who are capable of maximum destruction on any given territory. So we're there. We are there. So keep your prayers up and definitely reach out if you need some guidance. Bye.